So this stretch is going to be for the elbows, and what we're going to do here is to try and stretch out the radiohumeral joint on the outside of the elbow. So if I have my hand like this, we've got the humerus coming straight down the upper arm bone, and then we've got two bones coming down the forearm. So we've got the ulna down here, and then we've got the radius here. Now the joint we're trying to stretch here is between the humerus and the radius. So we're trying to open that joint up. So what we're trying to do, and the reason we're trying to do that, of course, is that when you twist your forearm, the idea is that the head of the radius rotates on itself. And when the radiohumeral joint is too tight, it makes it much more difficult for the radius to rotate. So then it's hard to get your hand into a pronated position, which you need for typing and generally for like playing the piano, for life in general. It's helpful to be able to get your hand into this position. If you can't get your hand into this position because the head of radius is tight, then you end up coming up to here and twisting through the elbow and the upper back and the neck, and so that has knock-on effects. So it's important to be reasonably flexible through the head of the radius. So what I'm going to get you to do, and I'm going to do this with both hands so that you can see it from different angles essentially. So with my left hand first, I'm going to turn my hand out so that my fingertips are facing backwards towards me. And then I'm going to keep my elbow straight, and I'm going to take my right hand and I'm going to push my arm towards the camera, towards you. And what that's doing is it's going to open out this joint between the head of the radius here and the humerus here. So I'm just going to, and I'm going to play around with the angle, and you can see that I'm just oscillating the movement. So it's just bounce into it and bounce back out again a little bit. Don't completely let off, keep some stretch in there. But I'm just changing my direction of push very slightly until I find where the really tight angles are. And I'm just going to keep doing this for a couple of minutes, just really getting that joint to stretch out there. Now what you don't want to feel is a pinch on the inside of the elbow, which is where this hand is. So you don't want to feel a pinch in here. You definitely want to find the position where you feel a stretch through here. Oh, I've got it. So for me, that means pushing slightly from the back, slightly towards that angle at the moment. And then if I keep doing that, that will change. Okay, so that's easing off. And now I need to change the angle slightly, and now pushing it more towards there, because that's where my next restriction is. So I'm just having a play around and just pushing into different angles and working out where I feel the most stretch. Okay, so I'm going to shake that arm out now. That feels like I've loosened it off quite nicely. And I'm going to do the other hand. So again, I'm going to twist my arm out as far as I can. I'm going to come into there, so my fingers are pointing backwards. And then I'm just doing this at a different angle so you can see where I'm going. So with my left hand, I'm going to push that sort of direction, but again, I'm going to play around. So this one is different. So I need to be pushing more in that sort of direction again, which is the opposite of where I was for the other arm. So the ligament that goes around the head of the radius is called the annular ligament. So that will be getting a bit of a stretch, but you'll also be getting a stretch right into that joint between the radius and the humerus. There we go, that's changing. I'm feeling a really strong stretch in my forearm doing this as well. And so I'm just having a good old wiggle about. Where are my tight areas? Where's the sweet spot now? Just bouncy, 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 but really not coming all the way back off the pressure, holding most of the pressure on, but just taking off sort of 10, 20%, and then putting it back on in a slightly different direction, or wherever I feel the most tension. Come off, oh, shake that out, and I can feel that just feels that little bit more fluid now through the forearms. So I've just mobilised the radial head by really stretching out that radiohumeral joint. There you go.